Hey, curious people, welcome back and very Merry Christmas to all of you. Today's topic is biohacking. So, what is biohacking? As the name suggests, biohacking. So, biohacking involves making small strategic changes to your habits or behavior to optimize your body for achieving specific targets. In the process of biohacking, what we do is we understand how the biology of our body works and how can we optimize and adjust our routines, our habits, so that we can make the best out of it, right? So, it is basically a fine tuning of our habits and our daily behaviors with the biological nature of our body so that we can utilize its maximum potential. So this concept of biohacking, it's not new. Actually, it has been around for ages. But in the today's fancy, modern, involving digital world, this term biohacking has become a very prevalent concept, and you can find a tons of self-help books available out there in the market for you to become, invoke your superpowers and become an Übermensch, if you will, or Überwomensch, to utilize your maximum potential, right? So everything right there in the background is related to biohacking. So here is a typical symbol for biohacking, in which you tries to hack or tries to tweak your gene. You try to hack the biology of your body even on the genetic level. So this seems like a pretty fancy, very modern technique, right? But to be honest, it is very traditional. Let me walk you through this. So this this hack, the biohacking, has been around, as I said, since ages, and it's actually very traditional. You can see the reflection of this concept in the ancient technique, like our ancestors, our even parents. They keep on saying that, hey, sleep properly, exercise, eat nutritious diet, take care of yourself. So by doing all these things, we are actually biohacking our body. So all of these things are core essentials of this concept of biohacking: sleep, exercise, nutrition. And in the ancient time, our ancestors, they used to focus too much on these breathing exercise. You might have heard about pranayama, that is controlling your breath and try to maximize the fullest potential of your breathing by doing certain exercises like meditation, mindfulness, pranayama. We can increase or maximize the lung capacity and hence give rise to a healthier balance in life. And also, as I said, yoga, pranayama, meditation, these practices are out there in our traditional knowledge, if you will, to understand how our circadian rhythms works and how we can get maximum out of it. So this concept is actually not at all new. This has been there for centuries, and this right now is the perfect time that we take a step back and we learn from our ancestors. However, as I said, that this term has been modernized and popularized by so many tech entrepreneurs, by the scientists themselves. So how can we use science to improve upon this ancient practices of biohacking? There comes the modern techniques. So we can actually, since now we are in an advanced civilization, we can take help from our modern techniques to help us with this ancient practice. So in today's world, how biohacking looks like, so have a look. Now we talk about taking so many health supplements. We should take so many vitamin supplements, protein supplements. What are we doing? We are trying to biohack our body. We talk about blood transfusions so that we can, genetically engineer our stem cells, and then we can inject them back into our body in order to treat certain diseases. Tech involvement, gene editing, I have already mentioned. So there is actually a very good TED talk available on the internet by the maestro, Jennifer Doudna herself. She got the Nobel Prize for CRISPR technology, the gene editing. In this video, she talks about in great detail that how we can alter our genetic makeup, in the sense of how we can tweak the gene pool of the bacteria which resides in and on our body. So this is a very recent technique that she suggests, that instead of taking probiotics or going such insane limits like fecal transplants, we can actually take help from the gene editing to improve our gut health and basically our overall health. So as I said in the introduction section, that our target could be various and very specific. For example, some of us who have, let's say, tons of money, the billionaire people, they want to increase longevity, they want to delay the aging, so they are ready to pay enormous amount of money to go to access these modern techniques like gene editing, to edit their DNA sequences with the CRISPR technology, and to make the best use of available technology out there, in order to tweak and in order to modify our biology so that they can live longer, they can look healthier, feel healthier, and be younger. There could be multiple different targets. Some of us want to maximize our efficiency. Now think about the athletes. They want to maximize their performance during their competitions, the championship competitions. So their target is to maximize the performance. So some of us want to sleep better. We just want to sleep better. So there are actually ways in which you can improve the biology of your body without breaking your bank, without making a hole in your pocket. So there is a whole text available, there is whole literature available on the internet. I went through it and I found this article very informative, very useful, that there is a billionaire's way of doing the things, doing the biohacking, and there is the rest of us. We who don't have that much money to spend, but still we can make very small and strategic changes in our daily life and habits and our behaviors, so that we can make the maximum advantage out of our build up. So for a billionaire, they would like to prefer in the oxygen chambers to improve their cardiovascular health. For us, we can exercise. We can exercise regularly to maximize our VO2, right? And for a billionaire, they can just simply do the blood transfusion to increase their health span, like as I already mentioned, by editing their stem cells. However, we who don't have that much money, we can do the strength training by just introducing this small change in our habit, but we have to be really regular with it. It's not like we did a strength training like 2 times a year and that's all, there we have achieved a goal. No, we have to be extremely targeted. We have to be extremely we have to follow a strict routine to achieve the target, right? Then for a billionaire, they can just access the gene editing technique to reduce their cancer risk. However, we can if we don't have access to such advanced technology, we can control on our diet, and that way we can have access to the best of ourselves. We can make the best of our biology, right? And then there is stem cell injection. So the billionaire people want their brain to work at their maximum capacity even when they grow older. So as all of us know that as we grow older, the capacity of our brain, it significantly reduces and our brain become slower, and some of us might even face brain health issues like dementia, right? But this recent research has shown that if we if we don't go for such fancy techniques like stem cell injections, if we are towards the old age and if we just try to develop new hobbies. For example, learning how to play a new game, for example chess or go, or learning some new language, learning anything new which can challenge you, and also at the same time you learn from it. That also keeps our brain healthy. So we have different hacks available at our disposal, which we can implement in our day to day life to make the maximum out of it, right? Now let's talk a bit more in detail about the nutrient part. So the rich people, they're actually very cautious of their diet, and so we also should be very conscious of what we are putting inside our bodies, because as they say, our mind talks to our body and our body talks to our mind. So we actually become what we are putting inside our body, and that's why we have to be so mindful about it. If we want to maximize our potential in every possible way, whether it is mental, whether it is physical, then we have to be really cautious about our nutrition. So there are certain things which have proven to be very good for our brain health, for our bone health, and for our overall health, healthy being. So these are certain nutrients which we require, and these are the sources from where we can get these things from. And why do we need them? For example, magnesium, we need it for the muscle recovery, and we can simply get it by the whole seeds like pumpkin, quinoa, dark chocolate, legumes. So you have all kinds of options to choose from, whether irrespective of whether you are vegetarian, you are non-vegetarian, or even if you are a vegan. So you have a whole range of things to choose from. We just have to be mindful. This is just so easy. It's not very difficult, but the only thing is to initiate that change and to be strict about it, and to maintain it. That's where all the ball game lies. So then in this table there are various things listed, such as zinc for immunity, omega-3 for brain and gut health, and vitamin D for bone health and immunity. So just for example, vitamin D, we can go out in the nature in the morning to get that morning sunlight, to improve our immunity levels, to get that vitamin D from the nature itself. So why to go and break our banks if we can do these things by simply tweaking, or by just simply changing really small habits in our daily routine? Yes, the good thing is that's achievable, and that's totally upon us. And by doing these, by taking these small measures, we can greatly improve our lives. So please do yourselves a favor and start that change. Be a change today itself if you want to biohack your body, and if you want to utilize the maximum potential out of it. Now on internet you can find all types of entrepreneurs, all various types of speakers, very influential, very good speakers, who talks about these biohacking techniques. One of the individual, David Asprey, he is particularly very active. He have written tons of dozens of books on this very same topic, and he's even as crazy to be a guinea pig for new technology, for fecal transplants, for gene editing. He's up there, and he says it that I'm the guinea pig, do experiments on me. So I'm not suggesting you to go to that crazy extent, but I'm just suggesting very basic things which we can do, like mindfulness, like meditation, yoga, taking a nutritious diet, having a proper sleep, sleep at least 6 to 8 hours per day. Very important for our brain. This is the time, the me time for brain, when brain rewires, resets and regenerates. So do yourselves a favor and try to bring these small changes in your life on day-to-day basis. Now another questions which comes into the picture is that, is biohacking that simple for everyone? Well, that's a tricky one. It actually depends upon, first of all, it is different for every individual, because everyone's body is slightly different from everyone else, right? And then we see a bigger statistics when it comes to men and women, because of, you guessed it, the hormones. So because men and women, they have different sex hormones and different cycles of it. That actually means a lot. That on it, there is a whole branch of biohacking which develops from it. You can find several speakers among women who talks about period tracking, that how you can make your menstrual cycle to embrace and empower that inner superwoman inside you. So let's get into this. So that's as I talked about the sex hormones. So as it turns out, and as we know it, men, they are really simple beings. So their hormones levels does not fluctuate that much. They do, but the duration is different. In men, their main hormone, the testosterone, the level of testosterone actually changes throughout the day. So they have this 24-hour cycle, and the testosterone level changes little bit, not too much, but they changes little bit throughout a day, and then it stays the same throughout the year. But women, they turns out to be more complicated. Our hormonal level go nuts, and specifically on monthly basis. So if here the timeline is just one day in case of men, in case of women, our hormones go crazy during entire month. Welcome to the great menstrual cycle. Yes, the women's have roughly cycle of 28 days. So in men, the fluctuation happens over a day. In women, the fluctuation in the sex hormones happens over a month. And if we can understand this, we can actually embrace ourselves, we can embrace our powers, because we are differently abled through different phases of the menstrual cycle. More about that in a minute. Let's first get done with the men, the simpler ones among the two genders, right? So the blue here actually indicate the testosterone levels. So men, they tend to have some fluctuation in their testosterone levels throughout various phases of the day. So as you can see that they have a lot of it during the early morning towards the afternoon. So that window is the best for them, and it's the ideal time for them to study, to focus on their work, to gain or acquire some new hobbies, for example. That is the ideal time for them. Now the next the afternoon window for men, their testosterone level more or less remains the same, but just a little bit less. So that is also a best time for them to reflect upon what they have learned like till afternoon. And in the evening, throughout the night, they have significantly lower levels of testosterone. So that is ideal time for just relax, and maybe whatever is your thing, have a cup of coffee or maybe a beer, watch Netflix, and just have a reflection on what you have learned, and maybe set targets for your next day, right? And then there is night, in which the testosterone levels are in between, not too high, not too low, as during the afternoon and in the evening respectively. So not that much difficult, right? But even if they would be conscious during these various times of the day, they can make the best out of their testosterone levels. Now let's talk about women's. They are more complicated, especially when it comes to hormones. So our hormones fluctuate throughout the month, and we have two hormones, not just one. So, and in fact three. We also have a tint of testosterone also. I will talk about that in a bit. So the two main sex hormone in women are estrogen and progesterone. So what we do is we basically tend to divide the menstrual cycle, this roughly 28-day cycle, into 4 periods. So the first is very obvious one, when we are bleeding, the menstrual phase. Here we have our lowest hormones, and that is the reason that why we tend to feel low on energy, less motivated. We don't feel that much social going out, but that's okay. If we can understand our body, we can nourish, we should take this time to nourish our body, to give it what it wants, to be calm and be kind with ourselves, to relax a little bit. It's a very good time these days to do anything which require less efforts. For example, I will talk about an example in a minute. The next phase is our follicular phase. So in this phase, we are recovering from our periods and our estrogen level is going up, and we are really confident, we are highly energetic, we have now a lots of hormones at our disposal. So this is a very good time to go out and do the things which we planned during the first phase actually. And when this phase ends, then begins the luteal phase, right? And let's say the third phase of the cycle is when we also have a little bit tint of testosterone, so a little bit of that manly touch we also have, because we also have a tint of testosterone. So in this phase we are more confident, we are more outgoing, we are more social, we are more feeling like putting ourselves out there. So this time is the best for social interactions, where you are loaded with the confidence to present yourself in front of the audience. And then we fall to the fourth phase, where we are preparing for our next cycle. And at that time, we have less estrogen levels, we have high progesterone, and we are easily irritable in the last phase of this cycle. That's why it is also known as premenstrual. Some of us have PMS, premenstrual syndrome, and we have various acronyms, various jokes for this, like prepare to meet Satan, poor miserable soul, perdóname señor or señora. My favorite one is potential murder suspect, because we are so irritable of everything around us. So maybe that's a good phase in which we can a little bit less hard on ourselves and take any task which takes slightly less efforts. And by the way, this is a good phase for being a savage. So if you want to be savage, then there you go. Choose this phase. So now a real life example. I actually hacked my own cycle and I utilized it during the time of my PhD. So I wrote my thesis in a month and I tracked my cycle. So during the first phase, I mainly involved myself into the literature survey during the first phase. In the second phase, I actually prepared the draft. I sat down, I wrote the paper and submitted it to my seniors, to my supervisors. In the third one, I was out there, I was ready to present my work and defend it. And in the fourth phase, I took the liberty to submit it, to go ahead with it. And it's a very good phase to finishing the task overall and to deal with all the negative criticism you're potentially going to get. So this way you can optimize your cycle to know your strengths and weaknesses during that period of time. It can have great benefits, believe me. So girls, are you ready to take advantage of your cycles? If yes, then I highly encourage you to track your cycle and optimize your powers, reclaim your powers, because you have special powers during every phase of your cycles. So even so much so that so many presenters I come across online even associated with the seasons in the nature. Probably that's why we call nature as a mother, like mother nature. So if you will go by seasons, the first phase, which is the menstrual phase, is like our winter phase, in which we have to be calm. We should be more caring towards our body, not being hard on ourselves. We are recovering, our body is recovering. So it's like a winter for our body. Then comes the spring, when our hormonal level is getting restored, when our booze is getting refilled, and to top that up, we have testosterone also. So the third phase is like your charmer phase. And in fact, the whole nature, the mother nature itself is supporting you. There are studies, you actually look more sexy, more confident in the second to third phase of your cycle. That's true. And if you want to, uh, represent your work, if you have certain presentations to make, certain social gatherings to attend to, choose this phase of the cycle. That's your golden period to go and be social and to be more confident. Okay, then the autumn phase, best for reflections, best to wrapping everything up, wrap up the project, and ready to come up with the next cycle. So that was it. So there are multiple ways in which we can biohack our body. The first step always lies in understanding the biology of our own body, and that varies from person to person, even from one gender to another gender. And in a nutshell, without breaking our bank, we can actually do so much little things to enhance the productivity, quality, even the quantity of our lives. So, you are ready? If yes, then give me a thumbs up and follow my channel for more such cool content. I'll see you next time. Merry Christmas. Take care. Bye bye.